Hi, it's Enchanting Nubianette. Welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. YouTube family, I have a huge story to tell you, and there's a lot going on these days, especially in hospitals and nursing homes and elderly care. A lot is going on. I'm talking about fake nurses, different types of scams, and vulnerable people, especially our elders and even people who are disabled. So if you have a mother, grandmother, uncle who needs care, you truly need to hear this. Or even if you are, middle age and older, you need to hear this because there are so many imposters out here. So the first story I'm going to get into is a fake nurse, an imposter nurse called Autumn Bardista. So she is a woman from Florida and she was arrested in August for allegedly impersonating a registered nurse and providing medical care to thousands of patients without even having a valid license. So she listed her employment at Advent Health. She stated that, she was hired in July 2023 by the Advent Health Palm Coast Parkway as an advanced nurse technician. She falsely claimed to have completed the nursing school. And we know nursing school is very thorough, it takes a lot of hours, hard work, and you definitely need to know the medications and so much imperative information in order to work with patients. So she claimed to have completed this nursing exam and she claimed to have passed her licensing exam. Now, to deceive the hospital, Miss Bardista, she provided a nursing license number, but it belonged to another nurse with the same first name as her. And this person actually attended the same nursing school as her, but worked at a different Advent Health facility. So you see how she was able to maneuver these details, these fraudulent details. She explained that the different last name, it happened because she recently had gotten married, but she failed to provide proof when she was asked. Now, if it was me and I was in HR, I would have definitely been more consistent and pursued her and, just to make sure that she provided those documents. This could have all been resolved much early on. But as you can see, this didn't happen. So the deception was uncovered in January 2025. So remember, she was hired in 2023 now. This is 2 years later. So she was discovered with fraud, being fraudulent, when she was offered a promotion. Now you think that a woman who doesn't have her credentials would turn down the promotion because she needs to have even more responsibility and, of course, the knowledge, which she did not have. However, she took the promotion, and a coworker who was very suspicious of her credentials checked her license status and discovered that Miss Bardista only held an expired certified nursing assistant license. That is a CNA license. That's the very, very beginning of your nursing career, where you would get like a nursing assistant license and then continue to LPN, or then you go on to registered nurse RN. So this coworker, thank goodness she's like an undercover detective and she was very thorough. She followed her gut. And of course, she was definitely observing her while she worked. This coworker, she reported her to the administrators. So then she was finally terminated in January 2025, just 8 months ago. And the Flagler County Sheriff's Office launched a 7-month investigation. Finally, Miss Bardista was arrested on August 5th. She was at her home, she was wearing scrubs. And a sheriff, his name is Rick Stalley, he called it in quotes, one of the most disturbing cases of medical fraud his office had ever investigated. Mind you, he's a veteran sheriff and he has seen a lot of cases. This woman, she should have gotten her true credentials because this is a wonderful field, a lucrative field where she could have earned all the money and she still would have been well off. But no, she wanted the quick way of earning money on with someone else's name and even credentials. Horrible. So right now, everyone, Miss Bardista, she faces multiple felony charges as she should. So this includes practicing a healthcare profession without a license and fraudulent use of personal identification. Just having the first name of, someone she went to school with. And the authorities, they have stated that she provided care to, listen to this, everyone, listen to this huge number, 4,486 patients she cared for between June 2024 and January 2025. So they did say that no patients were reported to have been harmed as a result of her actions. Maybe they haven't discovered anything yet, but again, that is a miracle that they have not, but we never know long term what can happen because remember, she was giving them medication as well. Now, the sheriff's office had set up a special email address for anyone who believed they had been treated by her. So more people can actually, realize that they have been treated by a fraudulent nurse in the near future. So after being fired by Advent Health, Miss Bardista, she successfully obtained her legitimate nursing license. Way, way, way too late. And at the time of her arrest, she was working for a traveling home healthcare service as a registered nurse. So not only did she get her credentials after the fact, but now she's going to several locations throughout the United States. And God forbid this woman, if she doesn't stay in jail, she'll travel, I'm sure, overseas because most of these people, whenever they have, this type of mindset to get over, they will definitely continue to go back into that same area of so-called expertise and commit fraud over again. So she needs to be stopped. Unbelievable, everyone. For this woman to be in several hospitals, treating thousands of patients, making decisions that wasn't even legitimate. It was so dangerous. Then another story I have is in North Carolina, a caregiver was arrested for exploiting her elderly client through check fraud. This has been occurring very often where they're just scamming elderly people left and right. It's horrible. And we really need to help them. If you have a family member who's an elderly person, please make sure that they're not giving out the information whenever they get these calls or even these mails. And in this case, someone who's in person, who's working in their home. So this caregiver, she was bonded out on $50,000, but WRAL reports that she's not the only one. There's a huge pattern, as I mentioned before, of nurses and aides stealing not only the elderly's account information, but their jewelry, their medicine, and even their identities. One woman, her name is Karen Rogers, she passed away in 2023. Her family finally noticed that her bank account was bleeding money. Her caregiver was making unauthorized transactions and had a history of felony larceny. So, yes, everyone, you must do background checks. Even if you have someone who's working in the home who is hired by an agency, you need to do your own background check as well. You know, take the time to search, even if you have to hire someone, because this person is in the home and they have, long lasting effects on your loved one. So, this is not only about money, it's also about trust. There are a lot of predators out here. And again, we need to protect, especially people who are elderly, people who are disabled, and of course, even children. Because some of you may have children of your own or even loved ones, maybe your nieces, nephews, cousins, where a child is disabled and that person is a fraudulent so-called professional in your home as well. So to wrap this up, everyone, this summer, the Justice Department came through with the largest healthcare fraud bust in history. There was over 324 defendants, including 96 licensed medical props or people who were so-called professionals. They were charged with schemes, and listen to this number, totaling $14.6 billion. That is billion with the letter B. So they seized luxury cars, cryptocurrency, and even suspended 205 providers. They were living so lavishly off the backs of very sick and elderly patients. So it's like a whole orchid of horrible, rotten apples, everyone. An orchid of greed is out there, especially during these economic times. Now, everyone, that you see there's high inflation. Unfortunately, many people are losing their jobs. Many people who are qualified are not being hired. There's a lot of people, unfortunately, who are preying on not the rich, but they're preying on people who are struggling as well, and people who are, doing their work legitimately. Unfortunately, this is happening. So the financial abuse that's going on is at an all-time high. So please do your due diligence, everyone. Make sure you verify someone's license if you're working in your home, or even any doctor and nurses who's working with your loved one. Check nurses' credentials even online. Don't just trust a badge. Watch out for red flags if there's missing medication, because remember, there are some people who are selling these meds to others, making like a side hustle out of it, unfortunately. Don't trust people who are trying to get cozy with you as a caregiver. And make sure you're talking with your elders. Make sure that they know it's okay to speak up for their rights. Because silence helps the scammers win, and we don't want that. We need to be the watchdogs. We need to be the protectors and the ones to say, not on my watch. So definitely do your due diligence, make a checklist, and find out if this person is legitimate, that you have a legitimate caregiver who's giving proper services in the home. Everyone, again, like I always say, please stay safe wherever you are. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And keep your head on a swivel, whether you're in home or out of your home.